Most of us walk into our careers believing a simple, fair story. Do excellent work, and good things follow. Be the sharpest mind in the room, and the room will naturally notice. Then you actually sit in an office, and you watch the brilliant, flawless worker get passed over for a major project. The person who gets the call? The colleague who misses details and needs things explained twice, but who remembers everyone's dog's name and laughs at the boss's jokes. It feels incredibly unfair, but the way people decide who to trust, who to pull onto a team, and who to promote rarely runs on pure merit. Instead, it runs on a much older, deeper human algorithm. Once you see how this silent algorithm actually processes your behavior, you can stop taking slights personally and start playing the game the way it's played. To prove that merit isn't driving the bus, management scholars mapped out 10,000 working relationships across 5 different organizations. They asked people who they actually chose to work alongside when the choice was theirs. They sorted everyone along 2 simple lines. This chart maps the results. On the horizontal axis, we have warmth, or likability. On the vertical axis, competence. Look at the extremes. Up here in the top right, you have the lovable star. They are brilliant and a joy to be around, so everybody wants them. Down in the bottom left sits the incompetent jerk, bad at the job and unpleasant. Nobody fights for that person. The real tension lives in the middle. Up in the top left is the competent jerk, genuinely excellent but hard to work with. Down in the bottom right is the lovable fool, warm and easygoing, but limited in their actual skills. When forced to pick a partner, colleagues overwhelmingly choose the lovable fool over the competent jerk. The likable but limited person beats the highly skilled but prickly one almost every time. If you ask professionals in advance, they will swear they prioritize results and want the most competent team member. Then they turn around and quietly select the person they like. We say competence, but we do likability. This lovable fool effect runs silently in the background, overriding rational staffing decisions in almost every organization on Earth. So why would anyone hand important work to a person less able to do it? The answer lies in how our brains are wired for survival. When your primitive brain processes a stranger, it asks one question before any other. Is this person on my side? It judges their intentions, their warmth, long before it evaluates their competence. A competent enemy is an existential threat. A competent friend is useful, sure, but your brain requires absolute proof of warmth before it can safely value that competence. In 1946, psychologist Solomon Asch ran an experiment where he asked people to evaluate a hypothetical person based on a list of traits. Swapping a single word on that list, from cold to warm, completely reorganized how every other ability was perceived. The competent person suddenly looked generous and wise, rather than calculating and ruthless. This biological glitch triggers a massive cognitive bias known as the halo effect. Warmth functions as a psychological filter. It triggers a bias that forces the brain to assume high warmth indicates high intelligence and skill, even when those traits are completely unrelated. Watch the lovable fool. Their high warmth generates a glow, pushing them artificially higher up the competence scale. They get a competence bonus. Meanwhile, the competent jerk suffers the reverse. Their prickly demeanor casts a shadow, shrinking perceived brilliance. They pay a competence tax. Imagine a software team. Maya writes flawless code, but delivers blunt, unfiltered feedback. Tom writes average code, but checks in on his teammates and brings coffee on difficult days. When management needs a lead for a high-visibility project, they choose Tom over Maya. But they don't say, I like Tom more. They say, Tom is a better leader, or Tom is the safer bet. They subconsciously relabel his warmth as an objective, measurable skill. This tax isn't applied evenly. Research shows a distinct double bind for women. The same assertive behaviors labeled as confident in a man are frequently read as cold or abrasive in a woman. Because warmth and competence are judged differently across genders, the penalty for a prickly demeanor is often significantly more expensive for women. You simply cannot outwork the lovable fool. Maya could write code twice as good as Tom's, and it might not matter because decision-makers genuinely believe their biased choices are completely objective. It is incredibly easy to look at this data, conclude that skill doesn't matter, give up on the hard work, and just learn to charm your boss. Don't take that bait. Manufacturing fake warmth is a fatal career error. Humans possess highly sensitive radars for performative phoniness, and faking it makes you the most distrusted person in the building. Here is the actual formula for advancement. Competence is the strict, non-negotiable entry fee. It gets you in the room, but once you're surrounded by other capable people, warmth becomes the ultimate tiebreaker. The goal isn't to regress into a lovable fool, it's to become a lovable star, simply by unburying the genuine human warmth that is already hiding beneath your professional intensity. Start small. Replace the flat mask of deep concentration with visible micro-reactions. Let a genuine reaction cross your face when a colleague speaks. Acknowledge the people around you as human beings, not just corporate functions. And use a counterintuitive method observed by psychologist Adam Grant. Sincerely ask a colleague for help or advice. For a highly competent person, asking for help feels like admitting weakness, but it actually dismantles the intimidating fortress of the competent jerk. It signals deep trust and turns a transaction into a relationship. Stop viewing relationship building as a soft distraction you'll get to once the real work is done. Those interpersonal relationships are the literal distribution channels through which your competence reaches the real world. A brilliant insight locked inside someone nobody wants to work with never travels. A moment of wonder. Warmth doesn't replace your competence. Warmth is the mechanism that gives the world permission to finally see how brilliant you actually are.